Welcome back, aliens. My name is Evan Reddy, and in this video we'll talk about DENO. See, it's time for us to use JavaScript everywhere. JavaScript is famous for the web browsers, right? But now I want to use JavaScript to make mobile applications. I want to use JavaScript for desktop applications. I want to use JavaScript for server-side programming. But hold on, we are doing all these things using Node. So why do we have DENO? Maybe it is from two different companies or two different creators, but that's not the case. The creator of both these platforms are same. So why do we have two platforms? See, the thing is, whenever we talk about any technology or a language, they do evolve, right? So because maybe when they created that language, they had some mistakes, or they might have not seen those mistakes earlier, but after so many years, we are finding some mistakes there, and then we want to rectify it. The problem is, if the mistakes are smaller, if we can really change it, of course they will be doing that in new features or in new versions. But there are some mistakes which is difficult to change. Okay, why it is difficult to change is because, example, let's talk about Node. Now, when Node created in 2009, it was very different from what we are doing now, right? So we had some new features, we are using packages from NPM, and then even the language JavaScript was very different at that point. And after 2009, JavaScript has changed a lot. In fact, nowadays people are moving from JavaScript to TypeScript. And TypeScript is something which everyone loves nowadays, right? So maybe they want to use TypeScript and JavaScript in Node applications, and you can do that, okay? So you can use a compiler in between which will convert your TypeScript code to JavaScript so that you can run it on Node.js. So we can do that, right? But the problem is, we want that TypeScript to be an internal part of Node. Is it really possible? In fact, there are some other mistakes as well. Maybe I don't want to use NPM because when you say NPM, it's a central repository, right? Anyone can post their packages, and maybe some of the packages are not secure. And there are some other issues as well, which I don't want to talk about that in this video. I wanted a distributed way of keeping the modules. If I get a module, I want to keep it with me. And if you want to use my module, you have to request to my server. Okay, so that's what we wanted, right? So to rectify that problem, can we change Node? So now we are using Node, let's say Node 14, and then maybe in the next version of Node 15, I want to have all these changes. The problem is, if the changes are not backward compatible, it will affect all the projects which are already running on it. Example, let's say Python. When Python 2 and Python 3, there are two different versions, okay, and then they are not backward compatible. So if you are building a project on Python 2, it will not support, and the same project will not work on Python 3 environment. So Python 3 is not backward compatible, and the same thing happened with Node if they wanted to have all the new features in Node. So we have the alternate platform now, which is DENO. Now, does that mean DENO will replace Node? That's not the case, okay? See, when you talk about enterprise market, even for small startups, when you build an application, let's say Node, and the moment you say, hey, now we have DENO, let's replace Node and let's write DENO, so it's time consuming and it will require a lot of resources. And companies don't want to do that just because we have a new platform, right? But yes, in case if you have a new project, let's say from tomorrow we are going to start a new project, DENO might be your choice. But why DENO? So for that, let's go hit back to the homepage of DENO, which is deno.land, and let's see what they say. So DENO is a secure runtime for JavaScript. Now this is very important. Oh, there's one more word here, which is TypeScript. So TypeScript and JavaScript, they both are internal part of DENO now. Okay, so you don't require extra compiler to compile your TypeScript to JavaScript. And the important word is secure. Now, why is secure? See, when you use any programming language, let's say JavaScript or Python or maybe Java, you can access file system, you can access databases, you can access network. Sometimes you don't want to use those resources, and by default or by writing the code, somewhere you will access the file which you don't want to do that, and it might be a risky part. You don't even know your software is using some files. So whenever you open a file in JavaScript, or whenever you close a file in JavaScript using Node, no one will ask anything to you, not even Node server. But in DENO, that's not the case. In DENO, if you want to access a file, you have to give a flag. You have to inform DENO, hey, I want to use a file, please allow me. Okay, so you have to show your intentions. Okay, so that's one. Now there are some similarities as well. DENO and Node both works on V8. The creator of both are same. what else we have? So there's one big difference. Node implementation was done with the help of C++, and DENO runs on Rust. And Rust is a very powerful language. Anyway. So you can follow this guide and you can do this simple steps. You can install DENO and you can try it out. It's an awesome experiment. But what I'm more interested in, we got a new version of DENO, which is DENO 1.0. So they just rolled out the new version, and which it's not completely stable. That's what I got to know from DENO website, but you can try it out. Okay, so small application will not hurt. But yes, if you are building a new application, enterprise level application on DENO now, don't do that. Let's wait for some time, wait for some more months. So if you go back to the website, or if you go back to the blog of DENO, there are certain interesting points which they have made. In fact, if you really want to know why they got DENO, they have the complete list. You can just go to YouTube. You will find the link in the description. There's a video from the creator itself. You can watch that, and it should give you some ideas. Now, if you scroll down, there's one thing important. We have promises inbuilt in DENO, so which makes it more effective. What I really loved about DENO is this thing. The TypeScript is by default gets compiled in DENO. We don't require extra compiler. And one more thing, the request per second. So let's say if you, I mean, of course, right, since Rust is new compared to C++, it should be faster. It might be, you can see the benchmark or those things. But then if you look at DENO, if you have a request for HTTP server, let's say for hello world, Node can process 34,000 requests per second, but DENO can process only 25, or that's less, right? But don't you think 25,000 requests per second is a good number? But what is more important is the latency, which is 1.3 milliseconds. So response time is so fast, right? That's not the case with the Node. It is 2 to 300 milliseconds, which is much slower. I mean, if it is 2, that's great. But if it is, let's say, even 100 milliseconds, it's much slower compared to DENO. But again, that's for hello world. I'm not sure how it will perform when you write complex applications. And of course, it will suffer. But let's see how much it suffers. So again, DENO is almost same as Node with some minor major changes, like they both run on V8, they both runs JavaScript, but then DENO also runs TypeScript by default. And now we don't have NPM, that's very important. So in DENO, we don't require NPM, we don't require central repository, we have a distributed repository where not a central server will manage those packages. So if I build a package, I will hold it. If you want my package, you have to request using a URL. Okay, now you will say, hey, what if my server goes down? So there are some ways to solve that. DENO maintains a local repository as well in your machine. If you have a copy, you can use that. Otherwise, you can push your repository to GitHub and it can use it. Okay, so that's it from this video. I hope you enjoyed. So DENO is here. Node is not going anywhere else. So that's it, everyone. Bye-bye.